So Blair White made a video talking about why she decided to leave politics and stop making political videos, or at least ease off of making political videos. And essentially, one of the reasons why she gave was is that the vast majority of people in the industry are actually fakes, meaning that they're not actually genuinely believers of what they say they believe in, but that they're just doing it because the money is on whatever side of the aisle that they have put themselves on. And we already know who the fuck we're talking about, because we have very clear examples of this going on, and it's pretty interesting to see. But there's no doubt in my mind that this is true. I mean, she also talks about how there were people who would tell her to make fake protester signs and try to amplify the amount of protesters because it's going to gain more news and coverage. And that stuff is just, it's extremely unethical from the jump, and it's really fucking bad. But here's something interesting. Kyle Kulinski talked about the sellouts on the right. Check it out.
Have you seen Blair White's video where she talks about how almost all the popular right wing YouTubers, commentators admit behind the scenes that they don't believe what they preach and just tell their base what they want to hear? Yes, I actually have seen that. I have seen that. And number one, I'm not surprised that that's what it's like on the right. But number two, I'm actually happy that Blair admitted that, because it's almost like she's at the beginning of some kind of weird deconversion where she's like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Because her role is, and I don't know if she's totally aware of this or not, but if she isn't, I'll let her know. Blair, your role was, I'm the trans person who's supposed to shit on other trans people. That's your role. That's the role that they wanted you to play. It's no different, honestly, than what they do with Herman Cain on Fox News, where they throw him out there and they go, okay, your job is to be the black person that hates other black people. So that was your role. Now, I don't want to, I'm not trying to delegitimize her opinions. Like, maybe she actually does believe a lot of the very conservative stuff that she said over the years. But it almost strikes me like she had an aha moment and a spark in her head where she's like, oh, this is all fake. And I'm not surprised that it's like that on the right. I can tell you one thing for sure, it ain't like that on the left. You talk to Jimmy Dore, he believes every goddamn word he's saying. You know, you talk to David Pakman, you talk to Cenk Uygur, they believe everything they're saying. Everything they're saying. And listen, sometimes we may even disagree with them. Fine. You guys might disagree with me. Fine. But here's what's for damn sure. If Blair had that experience on the left, being a commentator on the left, she would know very quickly, oh, okay, so they mean it, they believe it, and they're real. Whereas on the right, by the way, who's the one that she's really referring to? I wouldn't be surprised if it was Milo. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Rubin. I'll just say that. It's probably one of those two who she's saying, yeah, they were like, maybe Crowder, although I tend to think maybe Crowder believes it a little more than the others, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Crowder doesn't believe it either, but certainly Milo and Rubin, I get the sense of like, you just have an angle here. You just have an angle, son. This isn't like, oh, let me tell you what I really think. It's like, oh, I found my niche. I found my angle. And it's smarmy and it's gross. And everybody should recognize that it's as fake as it is.
The reason why I've been so turned off from doing political commentary is the other people that people see as my peers, people that I've worked with, other commentators. Kind of want to be careful with what I even say here, but I moved to LA almost a year ago, and one thing about LA is there's a lot of work here. So a lot of other political commentators, other people who you guys know, I'm not talking about obscure people here, a lot of them either live in LA or they're constantly in and out for work, filming something, doing whatever they do. So I've met almost all of them. People I've either been on their show or on a show with them, or I went to a dinner with them, an event with them, or I became close with some of them. The amount of them that I've met that have told me either directly or in a roundabout way that's very clear that they don't believe everything that they say that they believe when they're on camera. A lot of them just flat out don't believe. They're just actors. They're just actors. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, so Kyle is actually 100% on point there when he says that the people on the left actually believe what the fuck they say. And that's really because there isn't really much of a search on the left as there is on the right, where there is this sort of search for the specific type of person to say these specific things. Now, what do I mean by that? It's like, I mean, a perfect example of that is Candace Owens, right? I mean, when she was a left winger to begin with, or at least not right wing. I don't know if she was left wing, but she would make fun of Trump, and she had this doxing site, and she was being a big time SJW. and nobody cared. Nobody gave two shits. Nobody's looking for. There's no uh shortage, I guess I would say. There's no there's no lowage of supply of people who are African American who are going to support Black Lives Matter, or who are going to be liberals, or who are going to be left wing, because that is the sort of assumption. That doesn't make there is no opportunity to become rich because you're African American, you're black, and now you say something. Whereas with Candace Owens, a perfect example. You start out at least not right wing. You're sort of this SJW making fun of Trump, and then on the other side of it, you immediately, your backup plan is, I'm going to turn into being a right winger because there's a shortage of right wingers, especially in the YouTube sphere. And that is essentially what it did. And I mean, Charlie Kirk sort of recruited her to go to the speeches so that she can. There's literally videos of her like speaking, and then Charlie Kirk like visibly like excited and visibly so pleased that she is actually saying what he wants her to say, and going against Black Lives Matter and saying police brutality is not an issue, and just being a complete dumb fuck altogether. But there is this search by especially Prager University. I mean, I was just watching their video on the 3/5 compromise, and they, of course, who do they have on speaking? It's not a white guy. It's not, anybody else. It's a black woman. There's a reason why they did that. It's the same shit when Fox News would bring on a black person to shit on black people. It's the same tactic that is in play when when they're sort of using that tactic. So I think that he's spot on. That's why the left doesn't really have much to gain from being fake left, because being fake left, there's not a need for that. There's already left wingers, and there's not really a hole to be filled. And so he's totally right on that. And I mean, who is the person that she was talking about? That's a good ass question, because honestly, I'm not sure. I was gonna say I have no idea, but that's not true. I have my theories, my ideas. I was speculating about it in the video that I did yesterday. You can check that out. But basically, she said that one of the hosts of the show that she went on prior to the show came to her and said, "Hey, I want to say that I don't have anything against you or any trans people, and I'm sorry that we used them as the butt of jokes." And the main options were Dave Rubin and Milo. Apparently, she had a really good relationship with Milo, and she also was on the Dave Rubin show. So that was an option, because we know that Dave Rubin is a huge sellout to the Koch brothers. But a dark horse candidate, which I'm leaning towards, is actually Steven Crowder. Now, why is it that I say that? Dave Rubin doesn't really make transgender people the butt of their jokes, and I don't think Milo has his own show. So, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think Milo has a show, right? But Steven Crowder definitely has his show, and he's had Blair White on multiple times, and we know that Steven Crowder just spends the entire time basically like she said, butt of all jokes, or transgender people, just making fun of them, shitting on them all the time, being a dick. And he goes out of his way to to actually dress up as a girl. So there's also a theory among some people that he's actually a closet transgender person, because obviously he is constantly making fun of them and shitting on them, while also going out of his way to find a excuse or a reason or a rationale to dress up as a woman, which I don't know. Some people have a theory that he's closet transgender. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know. Who is it? I would love to know. I would absolutely love to know. It'd be superbly interesting to find out who it actually is. I would find that to be super interesting. I'm sure you guys want to know who it is too. My dark horse candidate for that one is Steven Crowder. Now, the other thing that was claimed was that someone told her to make these fake protest signs in order to amplify the amount of protest in general and the amount of protesters, so that it would catch news. And that one, I'm almost sure, is Milo or Rubin. I don't know which one. Rubin, we know, has dealt with protesters, so some of them might have been fake. And we know Milo has also dealt with a shit ton of protesters who I always thought were real, but she did say that basically there would be protesters and then they would try to amplify it. So that could be Milo Yiannopoulos too. I think that one is probably Milo, but I have no idea. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But that's something that's interesting. I'm glad that Blair White had came out and talked about that, because it's sort of a truth-telling situation in which all of those dudes are complete frauds. Those, the political commentators. Now, some of them are not. I mean, she said a couple of them weren't. I think Ben Shapiro, honestly, I think he really does believe what he says. Steven Crowder, I thought, believes what he says too, but transgenderism isn't really like a litmus test issue, so he could be, faking it on that level, but also believes in, I don't know, no minimum wage and insane shit like that.